I serve Sonoma, Marin, and Napa counties, doing solar inspections, cleaning, repairs, things like that. Okay, here we go. Why should you get a solar inspection? So first thing we do with a solar inspection is we check the installation quality. It's like the same as your home inspection, right? We're looking for quality issues, we're looking for code issues, we're looking for wear and tear and things like that. Second thing we do is we verify that it's actually working properly. So we have a calculator, we put in numbers to see like the system's 10 years old. At this point, for a 10-year-old system of this size, it should be producing this much. We check that, we put that in our report so that you know more than just like it's on, because it could be on, but it could be underproducing. So we put that in there. And then finally, there's a bunch of things to do to help transfer a system from the seller to the buyer. It could be because there's a third party owner like Sunrun or a lease or something. And also just there's all kinds of warranties and things that have to get transferred over, monitoring apps, all of that sort of stuff. So there's legwork involved, and we help make all that understandable. The questions we get from buyers are, what's the annual savings expectation? Who do I call to transfer ownership? How big is the system? You can't tell from standing on a street how big a solar system is, like in terms of watts and things like that. You just see 10 panels. You don't know if they're 200-watt panels or if they're 400-watt panels. There could be a huge sway in that. Does it still have a warranty? How's it working? How do I monitor it? Do I need more solar? This comes up a lot because we maybe have an empty nester moving out and a young family moving in. Your energy usage is going to be drastically different. Should I add a battery? What repairs does it need? And finally, who can I call to get a service? A lot of times the original solar installer has gone out of business or they're from another county or something like that.
Tesla doing. I have a lease
Uh-huh.
Tesla solar.
Yeah, Tesla's a solar company now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They bought Solar City years
Yes.
ago, and
Right.
so they've
Right.
very much gotten it. Why is there so much confusion? Well, there's what the solar sales guy told you. Ran into a guy the other day, and I said, "Hey, I do solar panel cleaning," and he's like, "Oh, my solar sales guy said that these are self-cleaning panels." And I said, "That's interesting. Never heard of those before, and that they definitely don't clean themselves."
Every time it rains.
Yeah, the solar salespeople say that the rain's going to clean it. Does the rain clean your car?
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So and then there's reality, right? Which is that there's a lot more moving parts and things that are involved. I don't think I need a solar inspection. It's a brand new home. That's maybe that's good. I mean, it's newer is usually better, but it's not necessarily true. I know it's working. The system is leased. I'll discuss all of those things in more detail. Should I inspect a newer home? So yes, we think you should still inspect a newer home. There can be all kinds of quality issues even on a brand new solar system. Just as much, really. I know the system is working. The seller told me so. And I checked the true-up bill and it's not that bad. Well, again, you might have a small family moving out and a big family moving in. You really want to know how much energy the system is producing, not just what the net bill is. So we do a deep dive analysis on the system. I'm just showing you some examples here. We compute the monthly expected energy savings for the system, and also look at are there any components of it that are not working? So we do the full deep dive. Should I inspect a lease system? So yes, you should still inspect a lease system. Having a lease or per power purchase agreement system in one sense is comforting because usually you're only paying for the power produced if it's a PPA. Most of them nowadays are PPAs. And somebody else owns it. So somebody else is responsible for the maintenance of the equipment. However, and this is a real example that we ran into, the lease document said 27 panels and we went up and inspected it. There were only 24.
Wow.
Well, So those lease documents need to get updated. It wasn't any nefarious thing that somebody did wrong. It's just that when the solar team is out there assessing a house, they do their best to try to figure out how many panels will fit on the roof, but panel sizes are changing all the time. There's all kinds of reasons. Maybe they didn't see a pipe that was there. So the install crew gets up, they go out and only 24 would fit. Well, somebody needed to go back and update the documents and it didn't happen. A lot of times, what I just run into is that the seller gives the buyer the original lease document and there was an addendum, there was a change order or something like that. And it's like, oh, we need to get the latest, greatest documents going. So, yes, you should still install a lease solar, or I mean, inspect a lease solar system. 80 to 90% of the systems I inspect have some issue. Most of them are minor, but sometimes they can be, sort of serious issues. So it's very rare that I run into a solar system that's just perfectly installed, has no anything that I would call out. And the reason for that is that there was like a gold rush in solar. We had the California energy incentives, we had the federal tax credit. There was a lot of people that got into the solar industry, didn't necessarily have a lot of experience or commitment to staying in the industry, and so as a result, a lot of solar installers went out of business. And then also there's a wave of closures right now because of that investment tax credit expiring. So as Solar Works, Sebastopol just recently closed their doors. And so, um, there's just one example. Very few contractors make it. Okay, so the result is poorly installed solar systems. These are just some of the issues that we see. On the left there is a panel not bolted down. In the center, you see exposed high voltage wires. So DC solar wires are usually running anywhere from like 400 to 600 volts. That's extremely dangerous if it's not properly enclosed in a conduit. So that picture there, you can see those wires are supposed to be in a conduit and they're not. And then on the far right, you see panels just kind of bolted right to the roof. They don't have any flashing or anything. It's just a bolt going straight into the roof with some caulk on it. That's not an approved way of installing and flashing a solar system. This is just examples of some of the things that we.
There was somebody that went and their pressure water shot their own solar panels to clean them. Those got electrocuted.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't use pressure washers on. Well, first of all, you can damage the solar
Right.
panels. And then secondly, I mean, it's just the fittings on there. They're watertight, but they're not meant to take like pressure, water. And so even when I'm like cleaning out for bird proofing, I don't pressure wash under the panels. Some people do, but I like it. That's way too dangerous. So I get this question, didn't the city building department inspect the system? Yes, they did, but they don't get on the roof. They just inspected at the ground level. They're looking at the wire sizing, they're looking at the breaker sizing. That's really it. They don't get up there and inspect anything on the roof. So they miss all this stuff. They're never going to catch it. So we provide a comprehensive solar inspection report. It's like your other home inspections where we highlight the number of items that we inspected. I don't know why this slide's not that fancy.
well, it's just on mine. I think mine is.
There it goes.
Oh, there we go.
There it goes. So we highlight the number of items we inspected, which are going to vary depending on the system, because it might have batteries, there might be more than one solar array, there might be two inverters, different things. So it's not just one set that's custom for the house. And then what are the like informational items that you want to know, and then what are the red flag kind of things. And we color code those. We provide estimates on what it costs to fix it. We do repairs. You're welcome to use any other company, solar installer, but we give you an estimate so that you can pass some at least decent information on to your clients. We give a power output. So we compare, like I said, the lifetime power output versus what's expected. And then finally, if it calls for it, we do a third-party ownership contract review. So we actually take that contract from the leasing company, from Tesla, whoever, we read it. And we call out all the key information that's in there. The big three are the terms, the rate, like, is it a monthly lease number, $200 a month or whatever, or is it a per kilowatt hour basis, so you know whether it's a lease or PPA. And then there should always be an escalator, which is how much the price is going to go up each year. And the whole idea of a PPA and a lease is that you're doing an arbitrage against PG&E's rate increases. So PG&E historically has gone up like 10% per year. You lock in a PPA or a lease that goes up 3% a year, you're winning, right? In a few years, you're buying power and you're locked in at a lower escalating rate than what you would have gotten had you not put the solar. And the advantage of a lease or PPA is it's usually no money down. So you're getting a $30,000 to $50,000 system put on your roof. You pay no cash. You just commit to the long-term lease or whatever. So we help understand whether this is a good deal or not. They're not all good deals. Most of them these days are pretty clean, but not always. There was different companies that got into that business over time, and they don't all, not all of those leases and PPAs are something that you would want to sign up for. So we help that understand that. And then also, like, is there a power output guarantee? We look for things like that. So there should be a power output guarantee. Making sure that if by year 5 the system hasn't produced X, that company's supposed to come out and fix it, or they pay you the difference, usually. Who do I call for warranty issues? So, there's all kinds of brand manufacturers out there. I'm a certified Enphase and SolarEdge installer. I'm working on my Tesla certification right now. It's a big, lengthy process, but working on that. And then all of the solar panel manufacturers typically have like 25-year warranties. That the inverters are typically 10 to 12 years of warranty. So we give all the phone numbers and everything that you would need to call. And if a homeowner, I'm doing one this morning, I'm going back to it right after this presentation, but homeowners call me all the time with an inverter or a piece of equipment that's under warranty, and I handle the whole warranty claim process and everything for them. So I submit the claim on their behalf. The equipment usually gets shipped to me, and then I go out and I repair it. Cleaning. So get a lot of questions about cleaning. I actually started when I took a 15-year hiatus doing a healthcare startup. And when I went back into solar, I started with panel cleaning. It was just an easy entry point before getting more back into all the technical details and things like that. So panel cleaning is super important for a lot of reasons. One is that it helps the system produce the maximum amount of power that it can. The dirt that accumulates can cut like 10 or 15 or 20% of the power production off. So it's really important to get panels cleaned once a year. I do a visual inspection when I'm up there. So oftentimes I'll catch things, even if someone hasn't hired me to do like an official inspection. I'm up there cleaning. I see a broken panel. I see a loose clip. I see issues and things. So they're kind of getting a free inspection, not as detailed, but a free inspection when they hire me for cleaning. The other thing is that cleaning extends the life of a solar system. And the reason is that when you have dirt on a panel, you get uneven heating of the solar panel, because the energy that's flowing through there, if it has dirt over the top of it, it's going to move slower and it gets hot. It's like friction causes heat kind of thing. And so you have, one part of the panel that's at 105 degrees and another part that's at 95. And that constant uneven heating over time, weakens the panel. So keeping them clean. I charge $850 per panel. I have a minimum of $149. So really small systems, they're paying more per panel, but it's just because I have to maintain kind of a minimum.
So 850.
It typically works out to somewhere between 150, $200 for a typical.
And that's for the cleaning or for the inspections.
For the cleaning.
Yeah,
for
the
the-
inspections, probably.
The solar inspection with the report and all that's $299.
It doesn't matter how big the system is.
Currently, no. My colleague over at Sacramento, he charges more for bigger systems, but I'm not doing that right now. So it's $299 regardless.
Flat. Yeah.
It's flat rate. Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
And then do you do a credit back for the inspection if they need you to do repair work?
if it's big repair work,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's just minor stuff.
Right.
then no.
Okay.
Right.
And I also do a diagnostic, like so that's a different visit. Like for the inspection, I'm really going out to verify the condition of the system as it is today. If it's not working, it takes a longer visit to determine why it's not working. And typically the person who hired me, usually the buyer, but not always, doesn't own the system yet. So I can't start working on it,
Right.
until they actually own it. Or there's an agreement to fix it before the close of the sale and so forth. So I have a diagnostic visit that's $349, and I'll start if I'm hired to do the diagnostic and repair, I start fixing right away if I can. Sometimes things are just fixing wires and small parts I have on my truck. Sometimes it's like the whole inverter needs replacement, and those are a couple $1,000s. So it just depends.
I have a question. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's more for you or maybe Mark. When you do an inspection, when someone's buying and, you have recommendations. Losing my train of thought there. So you report things that are broken, but you also have recommendations. So do you negotiate only on the broken items that need repair? Or also on the recommendations, like do this? Like it's dirty, so if you want a better output, you should do.
I mean, if I always negotiate everything.
Yeah.
Negotiate whatever you can and see what they come up with, but also good to have your clients at the inspection. Because I met him when he was doing my listing. And I learned a lot just by asking questions and listening to him, talk about things. And I've been through a lot of solar inspections, and he definitely blew people out of the water on his thoroughness. And but then, give and make sure your clients are there, because they'll get an education from him while they're doing the inspection.
Yeah, they get a lot of free education if they're there, because I tell them all about it, and they typically have questions about, well, what if I add an electric car, or all the things they're maybe thinking about doing with their house, and I can give them some direction on that maybe isn't, it's not like quote level detail, but like it gives them some direction to be thinking about.
So if someone wanted to get a new solar system, they could hire you as a consultant. to
Yeah,
help them, because you get all this information and the lease and this and that and the true up, and it's complicated.
Yeah,
for people.
It does get complicated to understand.
So you would just do a
Yeah, I get
consultation?
hired for consulting as well.
Okay.
But if you hire me for an inspection, you're sort of getting free consulting.
Right.
So,
But if they don't have a system, then.
yeah, if they don't have a system.
And they want to put on a system.
yeah.
This is a good resource.
And I have some referral people that if they want to brand, there's no solar on it and they want a brand new.
You have your preferred solar company.
A few.
Are they local?
And you said for the comparable inspection, you can also take a look at their lease documents, or that's.
Yeah, that's included in the inspection. If there's a lease or PPA, I read it all. Okay. I think there was something.
Monica had a question in the chat.
Mhm.
Do you use a product to clean the panels
Mhm.
or just purified filtered water? Was wondering if there's any product that helps the panels' longevity, like repellent or such.
Good question. Yes. So 90% of the time I just use pure deionized water. So I have a 4-stage filter in my van. I remove all the impurities out of the water, remove the chlorine, remove the minerals, anything you wouldn't want on the panel. That's the industry standard for panel cleaning. However, there are some solar approved products that are designed specifically for solar panel cleaning that I can add into the water. And one of them has an anti-static agent that helps to make that cleaning last a little longer. It's not like night and day difference, but it, you know, it's worth it for a few extra bucks kind of thing. So it's both.
So you can't just get up there and put regular water. Now, I have.
You totally can. So I wouldn't recommend doing that year after year because each time you use tap water,
How about reverse osmosis? That's what.
it's better. Yeah,
It takes most.
it takes most of the stuff out, right?
But what's
Deionized water, it
DI?
removes everything. So my thing goes through a sediment filter, so that removes any particulates, then it goes through a chlorine filter, then it goes through reverse osmosis, then it goes through a deionized.
Oh,
So
wow.
ultra pure water.
But you can buy that too, right?
You don't want to. It's thousands of dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can buy these little deionizing kits that are like $600. The people use them for washing their cars. It's like a spot-free rinse. Have you ever heard of spot-free rinse at the car wash? That's what that is.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonder.
So to answer the question, like, it's not a big deal to do it a few times with your tap water. But you wouldn't want to do it year after year because it will eventually build up. So the best thing to do is do it professionally, but if people don't want to do that, I get it.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I have a small solar system on my house.
Mhm.
I don't have a battery. What's the recommendation? I'm in the same grid as the fire station and Memorial Hospital, so I don't lose power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't think a battery was necessary, but
Yeah, so the reason people do batteries, I have a little more on it in the presentation, but there's two reasons to do battery. One is for backup power, and that's because, you know, the grid could go out. We've seen that a lot more in the last few years, grid outages. The other reason is simply for economic reasons, which is charge your batteries during the day and then use your own power from the battery at night instead of buying it from PG&E.
so can you put a battery on an existing system?
Yeah. With some caveats. The the inverter needs to be capable of managing the battery, so it could require some equipment upgrades. Most of the new inverters now that were put on in the last few years do both. That, you know, it's built in. You just add a battery. It's pretty simple.
And do you add batteries or you don't do that?
I do.
We do add batteries.
I do. Yeah.
Not to get too far in the weeds, and you
Mhm.
might be, we're maybe going to cover it anyway, but some of those systems they'll put power back to the grid at certain times a day, depending on when PG&E is charging you more and less. And all
Yeah,
that.
if it, like with Tesla and Enphase, it's very intelligent stuff. There's a lot of software in there, so you could really game the system to maximize the amount of savings from the battery. Batteries aren't cheap.
No.
They're, you know, $10,000 per unit. Some people put two. So, you know, it's a big investment to work on gaming the system. If you have, I don't know when you put your solar in, but there's been different tiers of.
Yeah. 3-4 years ago, I guess.
Okay, so you're probably on the NEM2 tier. In that case, the PG&E is probably buying power back from you at a rate that's attractive enough. If you put solar on now, you're on NEM3, and the only real way to make it economical is to put a battery. So nowadays, like pretty much all new systems have a battery, unless you have a site that's just using a lot of power during the day. But most people like us, we're out during the day and then we come home and then we run our laundry and that sort of thing. So we're using like peak power, which they charge the most for it. I think it's up to like 60 cents a kilowatt hour now. And they don't buy it back. So during the day, if your solar's overproducing, they're buying it back at like 6 cents a kilowatt hour. So they're paying you 6 cents for the power and then you buy it back at 60. It's not great. So that's why you do a battery, so that
Still takes a long time to make back $10,000.
Yeah.
At our age, yeah.
And I would tell people, what, monitor your PG. I went without, with the solar not working for 2 years. And it never occurred to me to look at the PG&E bill.
Yeah.
To realize that they weren't getting any panel.
I do that. I repair systems all the time that have been down for a year, down for 2 years. And
So
someone
it was
gets,
down for a year and then they got it back.
uh-huh.
And then for some reason or other, the manufacturer turned it off.
Mhm.
And I finally looked at it at my PG&E bill again and realized that, you know, so now it's working and now it works.
Yeah.
They didn't want to fix it because I bought it, but I threatened them with the vast array of real estate network.
Do you have maintenance plans that you put people on?
Yeah, I mean, most of my clients are on an annual maintenance plan. So,
$50 and
yeah, okay, hidden issues. So this solar system looks pretty decent, right? You know, looks good, right? Well, underneath was this.
Wow.
And the
Eggs.
birds, the squirrels, they cause all kinds of problems. The biggest thing I've seen is that this like level of debris will cause water to run up under the flashings and things like that, and actually cause roof leaks. So even though the birds didn't penetrate the roof, the fact that the water runs up and pools up here and it'll run under all kinds of places it's not supposed to go. So it's important to, first of all, do the visual inspection, whether that's from a cleaning or from an inspection, and make sure there's no pests under there. This happens a lot, especially on 2-story homes. Those the kind of newer developments, I see it more out there. And what we do is we install a bird guard. Costs somewhere, it depends if I'm doing a big clean out. Big clean out, I gotta lift up panels. I'm in there with a shop vac. I mean, it's a real mess. That can be upwards of $1,000 to clean and bird guard. But if it's fairly clean, they haven't infested it yet, usually $500 or $600 they can get them.
And that bird garden, you can see what is.
Yeah.
that
Is it
little-
just netting around the?
It's a PVC coated metal mesh.
Little fence.
It's a little fence, yeah, secure around. I do this all the time.
The panel to see if there's a mess under there like that.
Yeah, I inspect it, make sure that there's no animals active under
Oh, so
there.
like.
Squirrels, anything. Mostly it's pigeons, but sometimes we can get.
Pigeons go.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well,
They're too big, yeah?
No crows. I haven't seen crows. It's pigeons and squirrels.
So do you know solar companies that do installation, do they offer that as like an upgrade?
You would
to their
think
package?
that they would just put it on right when they do the solar. It would be so much easier, huh?
Like, what do they-
It's a good upgrade they could sell, but I think people are like, why would I pay extra right now when I don't know the birds are
All
gonna
they need to
come?
do is show that picture.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good upsell opportunity, but I don't really see a lot of people doing
Well,
it.
because the springs are there's a potential of like chewing on wires or pulling them down somehow,
Yeah.
right?
I've been called out to repair a microinverter, so just for the real high level thing, there's basically two kinds of solar systems. There's a DC solar system where the power comes down, it's direct current like you get off your car battery, and then it's converted to AC power on a unit on the wall. That's a string inverter, they call it. And then it's usable by the house. Then there's another kind called microinverter, which are more common these days, where on the back of each panel, you have a small microinverter that converts from DC to AC. So the power coming down on a microinverter system is already at household
So
voltage.
what is DC, AC?
Direct current, alternating current.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, direct current's like what you get off your car battery or Duracell.
It's going directly to the source.
And it's just kind of a long thing about it, but I think it was Nikola Tesla discovered that you could make power run farther if you put it alternating, which means that it's kind of like cycling on and off all the time.
Ah,
And then the other thing is it's a lot safer. So AC current is way safer. 120 volts DC, it'll stop your heart. But 120 volts AC, you just feel like it's not like super dangerous. So there's a lot of good reasons to do microinverters. They also deal very well with shade. And also like if one panel goes out, you don't have the whole thing. Whereas with a string inverter, if you have one panel go out, the whole string goes out. It's like your Christmas lights. Yeah. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both. But anyway, I was out repairing a microinverter. The Enphase, the company that makes them, had shipped me a new one because it looked like it had failed. I got up there and found that the microinverter was fine, but some animals had chewed through the wire, and that's why it wasn't working. Yeah. Okay, batteries we talked about. You do them for economic reasons, you do them for backup power. They don't all do both, and you have to. The only way to tell, you can't tell from just looking at what's on the wall. You have to inspect it. And when I do a backup, and when I inspect a system that has backup power, I check that the backup's working. So, we throw the main switch off and see does the backup come on. And I've seen very expensive, brand new Tesla solar systems that weren't configured correctly. And when I did the test, it didn't come on. So that homeowner would have been expecting that in a power outage, their house was going to be okay, and it wasn't. So they had to call Tesla back, and they came out and fixed it. It was a minor thing, but you can't just assume that it's wired correctly.
Right.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Can you share with us an easy way to explain true up to a buyer that's
No.
never had solar?
There's no easy way to
There
explain.
isn't.
Not really. I mean, the quickest explanation is that the sun produces power, or the solar system produces power very unevenly during the year. So you have it in the summer, it's producing 3 times as much as it does in January and December. So the reason for the true up bill is to kind of level that out. And so you can get on a plan where it's supposed to be like an annual bill, and then but it's complicated because it depends which name structure you're on, whether you accumulate or you don't accumulate your difference, right? Whether you're supposed to, basically like when you're producing more, do you get a building credit for that?
When you produce more.
Yeah, but does it build or does it zero out each month? So it depends. The big picture is it's supposed to sort of smooth out the bill, because your solar produces a lot less in the winter and summer.
So, but the solar, the sun is producing this energy, and then you're selling your PG&E is charging you because the solar.
Right. You're more likely to be selling in the summer.
You sell back to them at a certain rate,
Mhm.
and that's what you negotiate with the solar company or with PG&E.
Depends if you're
PG&E.
NEM2 or NEM3.
So when you put a solar system on,
I mean, it's not really a negotiation. They're like, here's the number. Yeah.
Didn't they just change it where?
Yeah.
You don't get as much back because you.
That's the NEM3.
Yeah.
I don't think we're NEM3 had it for about,
NEM3 is pretty new.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
like the last year or two.
$600 true up that's due, and that's in May is when we pay true up, and it's like a gut punch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the way
It's a
to.
lot,
Do you have an electric car?
No.
No.
And we're really careful about not using peak PG&E.
Mhm.
And there's just 2 of us.
Well, you might want to.
Cheaper though than if you didn't have
Get
it.
it inspected.
Yeah.
Probably.
You might want to get it inspected. Cleaned. Yeah, so I get questions a lot like, oh, my solar, it was working great the first few years, and now it seems like I'm getting a big bill. Cleaning, maybe get it inspected. Did you add an electric car?
Check your PG&E bill to make sure that they're actually receiving.
Yeah, because you can see if you sent any back, right? You can see that on Yeah, what I was gonna say about electric cars is that one, like a Tesla Model 3, to let's say I had a house that didn't have an electric car and then I added an electric car, you'd need to put 5 kilowatts more solar on to account for the electric car. So it's a big load that you add on when you add those.
Right, but.
You know,
You see through, but you can't spend the battery.
Depends. It depends on the equipment that you have. You can't always use the car as a battery, but you can for some systems. I think for Tesla, you have to have a big ugly truck. What's it called?
Cybertruck.
No offense to anybody. Yeah, the Cybertrucks have that built in where you can use the car as a backup for the house. It'll back up the house. Yeah, but only the Cybertruck.
Now, so you get one.
Oh my God.
All right, so
the early things.
yeah, thanks, Mark.
Construction, so.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I want to wrap up because I know you guys have places to go.
expansion system,
Mhm.
does that kick you onto M3?
Yeah, I can. You got a little wiggle room, like maybe 10%. And then if you go over the 10%, you'll probably get notified by PG&E that they're kicking you off. So, you're kind of stuck with what you have, with some wiggle room, but not much. So yeah, we talked about rate structures. Any questions about leasing and PPAs?
I mean, what can?
Well, about solar, but it sounds like it's adding another problem.
What
Adding
is
solar to the house,
adding a problem?
adding a problem.
It's a valuable asset. So what we put in the report tells the buyer, what the value of this thing is, and oftentimes it's like $100,000 of power that this thing's going to produce over its life. Translating that to a homeowner for them to understand, like, I'm getting all this extra value, is, it takes some work to nuance to have them understand, like, oh, I'm actually getting something out of this.
Or what the actual value is.
What the actual value is. We also do fair market value analysis. That's an extra report you can add on. That's useful if somebody's trying to buy out a lease or a PPA, because in those contracts it says you can buy this system after X number of years, but you have to pay fair market value for it. Well, they don't say how fair market value is determined. So we operate as a kind of third party evaluator. We evaluate it on two basis. One is a cost basis, what it would cost to replace it. The other one is an income basis, which is how much power it's going to produce over the rest of its life. And it's usually a good negotiating point for, buying out a lease or a PPA. Yeah, so when inspecting a third party system, we check, does the equipment match what's on the lease? Some of them don't even say, a lot of leases don't even say what equipment is on it. Like, it just says we're putting a 5 kilowatt solar system on the house. That's it. What are the terms, the kilowatt hour rate, and what's the escalator, maintenance requirements. Sometimes the homeowner has in that contract a maintenance requirement that says they will maintain it on their dime. And then finally, like, what are the end of term options? How do I either buy it out? The end of term options are usually either like I can buy it out, or the company comes and removes it. So if you have a homeowner who their lease is like at the end of its term, your homeowner is in a very strong negotiating position with that solar leasing company, because it's going to cost them money to come and take it off of the house, and they can't resell it, they can't do anything with it. So the homeowner has a lot of leverage. They're in the driver's seat, was what we like to say, if they're at an end of a lease and the option is, I buy it out or they come remove it. they don't want to come remove it. They'll take $10 for it, I'm exaggerating, but they definitely don't want to come remove it, so you just know that, like, your homeowners are in strong position.
Your card says you do window cleaning and more, does that include gutters?
In the winter, yeah, I do gutters. I'm not taking any gutter clients right now. I'm so swamped with solar stuff. So
So window cleaning,
yeah, especially for realtors. Like if you have a house you want to get on the market and you need it cleaned.
Will you come to Marin?
I do Marin, yeah,
Oh,
all day long.
Okay.
I'm in Marin all
When
the
does
time.
a Marin coming up?
Okay. I'm in all the time. Okay, well, you already booked your lunch and learn, so you don't need that, but if you need the QR code for my contact card, and again, any other questions?
So Monica got a question, what's the life expectancy of panels in our area? And that was kind of gonna be part of my question too, is the panels that are sold today are more efficient than the ones sold 20 years ago, right?
Mhm.
But then the ones sold 20 years ago also probably have a degrading
They all have a degrading curve.
performance, right?
Yeah, every panel has a degradation curve of about 1% per year, where it's just gonna produce less and less and less. I run into plenty, it just depends. I run into plenty of perfectly working 20, 25-year-old solar systems. Perfectly, haven't seen the newer ones, how long they'll go, but I think they're gonna go longer. They seem like they improved the quality of the manufacturing over the years. So, but the expected life is 25, 30 years. In that, you'll probably replace the inverter twice.
Mhm.
If you have microinverters, they are warranted for 25 years.
Wow.
Sometimes one or two of them go out, and I'll go replace one or two. If it's a string inverter,
probably, yes.
you have to swap out the whole thing. So, yeah, question.
Well, thank you, Ian.
So this is about my house personally, we just purchased a solar system and they finished it, I think in December, so it hasn't been producing to our expectations. So.
Is it a lease
No.
you purchase? Okay.
So, would you be able, so you said you would be able to come out and inspect and make recommendations and make sure things are wired correctly, because it's like some panels seem to be producing and some aren't, and it's like. Picking and scraping out and,
Yeah.
look at it.
Who installed it?
And they installed some of the panels on the shade part of the roof when there were other things.
Did they do the microinverter stuff?
We have some history.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But, so would you act like as do an inspection and
Yeah.
act as an intermediary between an owner and the
Yeah.
company?
You must have it per hour charge if you have to go over and above the actual inspection, if you have to fight with the companies and.
Yeah, I mean, but so if you know something's wrong with it, then probably you just go straight to a diagnose and repair visit, and I diagnose it. And also I'm happy to give you all a discount on your personal home to inspect it, and then you'll get my report and you can kind of see what it's all about, and get an idea. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But yeah, I could come and check it out and let you know if anything is wrong with it. If it was finished in December, you're like barely getting the good production now. December's terrible. You barely get any production out of a solar system in December relative to what it can produce. So I would not take the winter number, December, January, February, as what it's capable. It's definitely gonna improve.
Asking something about.
If there's a inverter or not.
I think it's probably just a regular converter.
Regular?
Inverter.
Big box on the wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, in that case, the way you do that if you have a shady spot is you want to separate the shady one from the other one electrically, so that you can put multiple strings on a string inverter. So you want to have them kind of matched up. There's a sort of engineering science to like optimizing that so that your shady part isn't knocking out your not shady part.
It'll do that, the shady part.
If you have it all on one string, you don't want you don't want a shady section on a big long string that's mostly not shady, because the shady section will drop the whole
And you
thing.
can do that separate, you can fix it so it's separate.
Fixing it after the fact would be it's doable, but it's quite an undertaking. Because you have to take all the panels off and rewire everything underneath. It's usually not a simple like open one box and
So us asking them to move the panels, it's a long string, so the panels are in the shade, asking them to move them somewhere else on a different part of the roof is a big deal.
relatively so.
But it's still, if you just got it, they shouldn't have done that in the first place.
I know.
If that's what they did, it may not be. I just one more thing I'll add in is because I get a lot of questions about this and nobody's asked today, so I'll just throw it out there. I do remove and reinstall either sections or full systems if there's a re-roof that's going on. So sometimes there's a small roof leak, I'll take a few panels off, the roofer comes in, fixes it, and then I put the panels back on. Sometimes the client is like, they need a whole new roof, and they're like, can you take the system off and put it back on? I do that. So just so you know, that's an available.
Is that like a price per panel?
I charge around $300 per panel. It's not cheap, so
What did you say, 200?
300 per panel. So it's not cheap, but it's an option. Like if they need a new roof, they need.
If you need a new roof,
Yeah.
I would keep looking at my roof and I think, well, it's not.
What did you say your price per week?
Was that,
$300.
did the 300 include taking it off and putting it back on?
Yeah, off and
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Both directions.
Which is pretty standard, because I
Not
had a
each.
property here in Santa Rosa and they had 29, 30 panels. And yeah, got a quote for $300 a panel.
Yeah.
For
It's
taking it off and putting it
pretty typical.
Yeah.
My
I
last
was hoping yours was less.
My last question, Ian, was I've always been curious how they mount solar panels to like a Mediterranean tile, Spanish tile roof.
They use what's called a tile hook. So it reaches up under the tiles so that you're penetrating in under the tile above it and not drilling through a tile.
Mm.
Yeah, can't really drill through it.